All right, welcome to godislovetruthlife.com or godislovetruthfreedom.com, because a life without freedom is not a life worth living. And today I have my amazing guest, Wyatt C. White, who I met through Mark Passio's How to Become the True Media course. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm glad to take part in your podcast. And glad to give you a little bit about my background, history, how I got to uh, understand and meet Mark Passio and what on earth is happening. I was born and raised in Philadelphia in 1957. Graduated high school in 1975 from Benjamin Franklin High, right there in North Philadelphia. And after high school, I went to the military, where I spent about 6 years serving in the United States Army and the United States Army Reserves as well. And after my responsibility with the government, if you will, I decided to make a life on my own. So I sort of stuck around where I was, released from the Army and lived a life for about 10 years in El Paso, Texas. After that, I had an opportunity to move to Atlanta, Georgia, where I spent another 10 years doing various jobs. And I finally got on with a very good corporation that transferred me to Phoenix, Arizona, where I live and reside right now. And I've been here for 21 years. I own a home and retired for just a couple of years. And now I have time to concentrate on self and, self-improvement, learning about who, I should say I have more time to learn about who I am. So I got to listen to a video on YouTube where Mark was speaking just about 2 years ago. And after I heard that message, it resonated with me in a tremendous way. It absolutely enlightened me to an area I had no idea where it would go. So since that time, I've been following Mark Passio, his podcast, and I have shown quite a bit of interest in what he's doing. I like the fact that someone's telling me I got egg on my face, if you will. And it seems like society just doesn't see the egg on your face. And what I mean to say is it's the same face. We're all the same face. Well, it was Mark Passio and what on earth is happening and how he was able to help me to understand a lot more about natural law and objective morality. Really, again, made a tremendous change in my life. Since that time, I've decided, up until today, of course, I'm a student, an active student in the 2024 season of How to Become the True Media. And we're right now at about lesson 13, I believe. We'll go into lesson 13 this coming week. So that just gives you a little bit of background about who I am. You can ask a question because I'll just try to share as much as I can by, continuing to talk. Jerry?
Yeah, well, I would love what specifically moved you in hearing which presentation was it that you saw initially?
Well, it was actually natural law. It was the science of natural law.
Cool.
And it, of course, led me to the first Sunday podcast on YouTube. And after that, I believe that was the actual day that really did something to me. I mean, it was the kind of thing that keeps you up at night. And that's what it did to me personally when I heard Mark and his story and having a Christian background, if you will. I beg your pardon. I heard this message And it seems it was just, again, Jerry, I can't explain how it really, really made me feel. I could go into serious details, but you don't want to see my face when that happened. But it gave me, if you will, ladies and gentlemen, a real good punch in solar plexus. It knocked the wind in and out of me and my reality, or what I thought was reality. So it led me again into doing more investigations on the esoteric, trying to learn as much as I could from some of the philosophers on basically high school education. And again, being a retired person at that, again, I've already served my country. I've already served my organization, but now I have the time to uh, investigate, examine, and look into these very important issues that the world is just not telling us. Our society is in absolutely terrible shape right now, and it's because of our behavior. And I have come to realize that I am the cause of the problem. And once that realization has been made, I'm sure all of the all of us who follow Mark Passio understand this deeply, that this is a life situation here, not just the technical skills. Of course, that's absolutely wonderful that this man would teach anyone. I mean, what really impressed me was in episode 273 or 74, where Mark Passio said to the hierarchy of the Masonic, I didn't need that call. So sorry. That he would share natural law and exactly the right teaching on how even the highest degree of this Masonic organization could benefit. Because based on the behavior of our society, they weren't doing any good at all except for themselves. So understanding and realizing this all at the same time, I realized that, I have to make a change. It was one of those, the man in the mirror, if you will. I took a real good look at myself and I realized that, I have a lot to do with what's going on with the world today. Well, how do I change this? And after studying the great sages and listening to good Stoic teachings and reading and associating myself with more wanting to know, and now that I want to know, I do. It's like I want to know. So with the limited, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say limited, but I'll say limited. But with the limited resources that I have here, and what is within my ability to do, I'm here to learn as much as I can. I recently found out here that there have been students who have been taking this class 4 and 5 times, and I thought that was quite interesting. But again, I'm glad to be a part of this movement. I guess you could say it's a freedom movement. It's exactly what it is. We can't be free. We just can't be free unless we understand natural law. We have harmony with nature. And once that transition is made, everything is much more balanced, if you will. I find that I am becoming more and more balanced, even with personal issues that have affected my life. Continuing on with the growth and the reduction of ego, if you will, my personal ego. I thought I was right about a lot of things. As a matter of fact, it's interesting the way Mark explains it. But you think you don't know. However, I thought I knew it all, and there was a time when you couldn't tell me anything. Well, I found out that I was wrong about that. And now, with the education that's available, even at the minimal expense, ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't cost anything. I can see it just a little bit how somebody can say, I'm going to take that class again next year. And did you get anything? I'm going to do it again next year too. So I can see that other students would reinvest. And that's, I think, a good idea, actually. So here we are, Jerry. I got to meet wonderful people like yourself. We've developed a really good friendship here, and we're learning and growing together. We're experiencing the other students and and some of the things that they have learned and have contributed to the group, if you will. And everyone is becoming more and more understanding of each other and more enlightened, if you will, and the lessons. It's very good to see the students who are much more technically advanced than, per se, someone with a high school education is really starting to get into computers, and really use the technology available in a world where technology pretty much basically rules. So in this media format where you can reach out and touch and create and help those through the media, if you will. You see where the media is going today, and all of the new technologies that are coming aboard. So I'd like to continue with that lesson and into its completion, of course, Jerry, and make some content. I'd like to put some things together, journaling a little bit more now. That's really good. I like that. And again, the lessons here, putting you know, the classes together, it's interesting, if you will. Here we are.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing about your journey, and I also think you might be our oldest student in the class. And I think
Oh,
it's
say that.
I've told you this before, in, our personal calls, but I think you're an inspiration. How many 67-year-olds are out there willing to change, willing to look at themselves in the mirror, willing to let go of old paradigms and adopt new ones? Virtually zero.
Yes, and that's it seems to me like a pretty much open field. If I can, take the skills and understanding on a personal one-on-one level with my community, I feel really good about that. I mean, uh, sharing some of these things that we weren't, meant to understand, and try to help share that on a way that they can understand. I think that's a great opportunity, and I have reached out on several occasions, and it was like you're nervous at first, and you think, I want to talk to this person here, and it's just somehow you make a connection, and you're able to, uh, you know, help them to understand a little bit about it. You basically, I would say, I would like to always want to ask someone to, take this information and look it up for yourself. Just, something very, very simple. It's just a word, and you got a good intention behind that word. I believe that because of the universal connection, the verses is going to somehow communicate with that person in a way that they can communicate with that person. Um, I would hope that I have a lot of hope that when I talk to my contemporaries, those people that are in my community here, which are mostly senior citizens, it's you talk about the generations of grandchildren of those senior citizens, but for the most part, here my immediate circle is a group of elderly people. These are people that have worked, retirees from Luke Air Force Base. Luke Air Force Base is a part of Phoenix, Arizona. So again, it's an opportunity to reach out and touch those right in your backyard, if you will.
Yeah. What do you think, before we jump into the topic of Hermeticism, which I definitely want to touch on today? Um, what are some what are some obstacles that you are encountering when discussing topics of natural law to folks in your life, in your family and friends, in your community?
Okay, well, that's interesting, Jerry. Question. Uh, Pretty much living on my own and alone here in my home just recently, uh, the resistance is noticeable, and I'll tell you why. Because they've seen my behavior change. Jerry, I wasn't like this 2 years ago. I mean, I was running right with the crowd. I mean, if you had opened the door on Monday morning, I'd have been right there in the car going down the road, coffee cup in my hand, getting into society, not really caring about what's going on. It's all about me. I got to get done here. I got to take care of family. I'm going along with the program. Well, now it's not like that. I mean, this guy went from that to he's up every morning at 5 looking at the sunrise. What's up with
Oh,
it? I mean, again, in the afternoon when I'm out and about, I'm always trying to present myself in not different, if you will, but it's obvious that there are, hey, you hear what happened to Wyatt around the corner type thing? Yeah, he's all mystic now, he's all, it seems like there's that air. Now, I don't, well, let me rephrase that because when I first started listening to Mark Passio's podcast, I was very free about it. It was a Sunday afternoon. My doors are open. I cannot help the acoustic overflow. And the immediate neighbors, especially the ones so immediate, got to hear that. Who is this guy talking? You know how Mark would talk? Boy, he was pointing it down. And my wife and I, we were going looking at each other going, he's talking about us. This
yeah.
is us. And it began to change. And our environment, we started doing things on time. Our scheduling was balanced, our outward glow, if you will, in the neighborhood. The neighbors thought, well, what happened to that family over there? They were going along with the crowd, and being involved in the community, if you will, showing that kind of, walk down the street, hi, how you doing? And, how was your day? I ran into somebody the other day, that kind of thing. Oh, well, listen, have a good day, that kind of. But now it's sort of standoffish. It's like, there's the weird guy, and so there's a feel, I guess, they have because it's something that they're not used to. And when I do get an opportunity to talk to somebody, naturally I'm talking about the behavior of our society and what it's doing to us, where we're at as far as our society is concerned. And then they naturally say it with their friends. Well, hey, man, this is what I was talking about, That's that weird guy over here. You notice how he stands and watches the sun in the morning? He's always reading his newspaper. He's right on time, that kind of thing. So they've noticed a change in me and my circle of, being a part of the community. So you have that stigmatism, I guess you could say, Jerry. Have you noticed that your neighbors are questioning what you believe in now? In other words, I'm not telling the Jesus line, the Christian American, that kind of line anymore. It's more of an individual type awareness, and they can recognize this. It just doesn't go. I don't get the smiles anymore, across the street to go around, if you will. This that air of, Wyatt talks to you a little bit more now. You didn't use when he would talk to you. He would talk to you about things in the world. Now he's talking about these things. Did you notice the stickers on his car? Did you notice, he's got a gong in his house now. We hear that. We got some bowls that, will spin around, and
Yeah.
then there's that air, So I'm sure it's like that with pretty much everyone because, again, we're such a small few. And the fact that the dark don't like you having that kind of light. It doesn't. It doesn't want you to emit this kind of, care, I guess, if you will. What I mean by that is to really try to tell somebody, hey, look, you got a little egg on your face here. Let me show you how to get it off. Let me get that off for you, and then let me show you how to keep it off, if you will.
Right.
So I mean, that's what I experienced, if you will, Jerry, about dealing with my immediate circle of influence, which isn't a lot. Again, I know a few of the neighbors around here. I've known them for years. We've had interactions for years. There's been community things going on for years. We've talked and sat down. Some have gone out. Others have come in. I thought it was very nice that when a few neighbors came in and meet to the next few houses, just take over a cake and say, hello, Wyatt, this is my wife. We'd like to meet you, let you know that we're here. Welcome to the community, that kind of thing. But now, Jerry, the communities it's an air. But I'm sure it's because of this election that's coming up here. It's just this monstrosity that goes on. I'm sure you can see it in your world when you go out to interact with people. They're not interested. I mean, what do you think?
For the election, you mean, or?
I mean, about your influence. Now you've got.
Oh, right. Yeah, like.
I mean, do you see that kind of behavior in people?
Yeah. I think it's less about people reacting to me and my versus like I'm not interested in having superficial conversations anymore about things that don't fucking matter, like the election, like materialism.
Yes.
Going back to what you said about like church and stuff, my friends and family that are Christian view me as pagan, which there's nothing wrong with. Some pagans are not like bad. But yeah, for being vegan, so it's like whatever.
I feel the same way, Jerry, having a Christian background. And now because of that engineering of believing in a religiosity type thing that somehow the religion is going to save everyone. No, I mean, here's one that was involved in that way of living, and following that belief. And I remember in my, when I very first started to look into these things, I remember asking a good friend, I asked him, I said, what do you think about that? I mean, how do you feel about thinking outside the box or looking at life and perhaps asking some other questions? He said to me, it's just easy to go along with it. It's just easy just to follow the crowd. And now as an enlightened individual who's done a little bit of reading and trying to answer some questions, that's the wide road to hell, man. And I sort of share that. But now I feel like I just can't deal with them anymore. I mean, if I'm talking to somebody, it's a one-on-one basis. I give them my litmus test and find out what they care about. If they don't care about anything, I'm done. Period. Over and done. And now I've even put some of my so-called influences in the community and put them on the spot with this. And once they've gone home and sat down and think, and they get thinking, well, this guy might have insulted me here because, I'm not, it's weird. I mean, each situation is different. Jerry, I've asked people and tried to leave them, hey, if there's any more questions that you may have about what's happening in our world today, let's talk. Let's be friends. Never hear from them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I hold them on the phone. After 3 months, I'll send a text. Well, I guess you weren't interested. Fare thee well, friend. Fare thee well. And that's a way of, kicking the dust off your boots, if you will, because you've made an effort to try to bring a little enlightenment, if you will, on a level that they can understand. And the response that you get from that, again, I always try to put people on the spot to what is it that they really care about? What makes you think? And if they come up with something as, well, it doesn't bother me, or I'm not really interested in that kind of thing here, everything seems to be going. I always want to put them in a position where they have to answer that question. I don't really want to talk about it. And then there are those that sell a good game. Oh man, have we heard people give you the story, and it could be overwhelming at times where because you're not seeing things my way, I'm not going to see things your way at all. And so just to explain it to you in a very layman type way, Jerry.
Well, yeah, it's like, sort of what I try to do is I try to look at it like I'm viewing myself in a time warp where I'm my future self revisiting my old self
Oh,
and just dealing with my former hard-headedness.
I
And
see.
you know what I mean? And just I have the compassion, care, but I'm also it's freaking frustrating to deal
It
with that
is, Mary. Oh
calcification.
my goodness gracious. I get that same feeling and
Yeah.
thought process too. I just get so frustrated. And there's, again, looking at the hard facts of the matter is this is one great work. I mean, again, we are so discombobulated and disconnected from each other on such a unnecessary ego type of way. It's obvious to see that our society is not balanced in no way whatsoever. And the only thing that really would change them is the beginning on the inside. And is that happening? No, it is not happening because things are going on and on. Same old way. It's the same behavior. It's the same, I'm not going to pick that piece of trash up over there. That's one of the wonderful lessons I learned through the esoteric is, if you can do something good, do it. It comes back to you. We're talking about karma, if you will, when you said, I sort of feel like, in my past experiences, I had this anger, and of course, I had that anger too in my past experience and past behavior. When you think of karma in that term, so learning the lesson now that I'm beginning to understand how to get that balance, Jerry, we're learning the lesson on how to differentiate that behavior, how to counteract that kind of behavior. It ain't going to happen overnight. You've got to put some effort into this. You've got to get up early in the morning, man, and spend that time in the flower. It's going to start off small, spend 10 minutes, man. Remember, it's a benefit for you. And now it's starting to really make sense. And I'm so excited about that part of this. And always wanting to, again, try to reach people, but you don't. I go to the supermarket and I defer pretty much to everyone, Jerry. After you leave. After you go ahead. It's,
Aw.
if I see a situation and thinking forward, always in a forward thinking frame of mind, if I see something coming this way, I'm the kind of person now, so I can easily turn around. It's not going to be any skin off my back as we see society. Again, Jerry, you go out in public, you want to interact with people, but then you get, just like you said, nah, I can't do that. I don't want to get into a tussle here. And every once in a while, because a good thing I've learned to do, Jerry, is to always for an opportunity to speak to someone, for an opportunity to share with somebody, hey, let me touch someone today, if you will. I am who I am, and I know where I am right now with what I know about who I am, because when you think you know, you don't know. When you think you know. But here, let me share my little bit of touch on you today. Oh, you believe in? Well, I believe in that too. I don't call him that name anymore, but he's got the same power. Oh, I don't even say it's a he anymore. Oh God, he's going, and he's going, and him. Well, you know what? I'm so unpatriarchal here. Listen. The God I know is neither male nor female, but he's got the same power. Is what I'm thinking and feeling through that social engineering. For example, Jerry, just the other day, and I could go on, honey, I met a nice lady while I was shopping, and just happened to bump. She actually liked Mark Passio shirt. And that just gave me about 10 minutes to sit there and fellowship with her. I was telling her a little bit about what on earth is happening, and in a way that she could understand it. And she was asking some serious questions too. I showed her some sacred geometry. I told her a little bit about how important these shapes are that help create our universe. And I gave her a few little tidbits, and she promised that well, she didn't promise. She said that she would look into it. Now I could only leave with that. And in the wonderful conversation that we had, I think she would at least say, I'm going to take a look at this, because he was so insistent on me spending some time to do this. I find that if I leave people with that, alternative, they're more likely to go home. Okay, honey, I got my phone right now. What was I going to say? And there it is. Again, it was just I turned the YouTube channel on, and I heard Mark Passio. I turned the YouTube channel on, and I clicked on it, and that was it. The science of natural law is one of the things that really brought me to trying to help people understand natural law and objective morality in a way, and sharing with them, our problem with the world is us. If I can get them into a calm state of thinking in a way. You want to try to, are you ready to reason and rationalize? Can I tell you about a few little things? And I'll start off with a simple thing about the pendulum, the ebb and the flow, the tide in and out, the light and dark. And it sort of brings them into a point, well, okay, I see where he's going with this. This is sort of that, could it be New Age? They don't know. Could it be, it's not Jesus, but, hey, he's got something to say. So again, of course, everybody's on the God thing. And Jerry, I've come to learn now a little bit more about what that whole thing's all about. And it ain't right. So, we've been sort of, if you will, I would say we've been, sort of had these scales pulled over our eyes, if you will. I'm, thinking like, you're under the cover. You know how it was when you were a kid, right? You got scared to go under the covers? Did you ever go under the covers? You were
To read.
If you were scared.
I would pretend to read, so I would, pretend to be asleep, and I would read in my blanket sometimes as a kid.
Well,
but I I guess I was scared sometimes of the dark. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we've all had that, in our society growing up. And we didn't get anything from the parents to help direct us as young and impressionable children that we are. We got what we heard somebody else say, be it the television or my brother who heard it from this guy, or heard it from that guy, heard it from that guy. So we were getting all this conflicting information as children. And, oh man, there's ghosts in the closet. Really? No shit. Shit, man. So if something trickled in the closet that night, I was attempting, I'm going to be protected, pull under the cover. Well, that's where people are, they just are afraid. They're afraid to venture out and go, wait a minute, and so understanding again who you are, a little bit more about yourself, and understanding that you are a part of the fabric of the universe, and if you can balance it out in the simplest way that you can, if you concentrate on yourself and start looking a little bit more about who you are and some of the experiences that you've had, do a little bit more reading, spend a little bit more time alone, if you will. I get that. Do I ever? And do a little soul searching or a little shadow work in yourself. Of course, you and I understand this a little bit better in context with understanding natural law and objective morality, Jerry, but the masses don't. I was looking at Mark's video today, and when you were asking questions to the young people, and they were giving the answers pretty much the way I'm giving. I really don't know. I heard something like that before, but I've never really looked into that. I always thought it was this way. And even the academics, they, and I'm a lawyer, and this is something I really should know. So we know we don't know, and knowing, I guess, is the first step.
So yeah, maybe we can take some time to first define what objective morality is. Um, do you want to give it a go, or shall we do it together? Or
Well, yes, I think understanding the difference between right and wrong, what is a right, and who has that right. I don't, I, I do not have the right to impose any of what my opinion is on another person. When it comes down to you imposing your right upon me as an individual, I have to actually defend myself. I have to stand up for what I know to be is the truth. That would help me to explain objective morality. Natural law would say if I'm working in concert with the way nature intended for a conscious being like ourselves, when we think in terms of the animal and the other life forms, if I consciously learn these things which were covered up, and hidden, and apply them in my life, I could live a life of harmony, balance, peace, and joy, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, I would add for sure, like, yeah, just being aware that sentient beings, right? Some people try to just apply natural law to humans, but natural law is called natural law, not man's law, because it applies to uh, humans and animals and yeah, life. Like, so yeah, just like not stealing.
I
Um,
I agree, Gary. You brought that point out. Yes, we you know don't want to infringe on or what I consider all lives, all sentient life. Jerry is equal on the earth. It is all life on earth is equal. It is, and I don't. You know, I have no right, I guess, to uh, steal something from another life, even if it is that life. Uh, I find now that I'm much more concerned about nature, other sentient beings, uh, uh, the unjust inflicted harm on other life. And gosh, today, you can sell babies now. I mean, that's just so common. How did we get to a society where children are on the market for adult lustful things? How did we get to this point? Well, it was us. They did it. We did it, and this is the aggregate and the result of that. So, again, considering all life on Earth being equal, I think that the lion has to eat the the gazelle. That's a dynamic that I really want to understand more. I mean, the dolphins have to eat the fish in the schools. The whales have to consume the krill. And society has taught us that we have to take another sentient life form to survive. And you, Jerry, being such a tremendous inspiration to me about being vegan. I've got a wonderful friend who's a vegetarian. His name is Carl, and he inspires me so much. I don't get to see him a lot on those occasions that I do. He is just so much more radiant. I've never had a chance to talk to him a little bit on more understanding natural law level, but because his diet, it sort of shows something a little bit more about his personality, if you will. Like yourself, Jerry. I mean, when I realized that you were vegan, I thought, wow, that's absolutely fantastic. surely you didn't get to be a vegan overnight. I mean, I would think that you had to investigate and find out a lot of these things about how to transition. Of course, having a family too, that wasn't easy. And the fact that you've done so much here in your own uh, creation to share natural law and objective morality. I'm impressed. I
Oh,
would like to get to a place where I could disseminate natural law and objective morality in a format with you. I mean, the way you and the other students are so much more proficient at that. And at the same time, I'm thinking, well, do I have the wherewithal, or should I say, not wherewithal, do I have the speaking skills to, put a point across and try to get an interaction from an audience? That's a little frightening.
Wyatt, you're doing it now.
I mean, not really. Thinking now, I realize that I'm going to have a script, and I'm going to stay on target and these kind of things here. And I haven't recorded myself or anything like that.
You're doing great.
Well, not podcast. We're just interacting on the Telegram. What's left of it. Boy, can you believe that guy sold us out? You gave.
Well,
No, it wasn't him. I guess he was really in a position.
censorship. They don't want freedom.
No, they don't, and we're subject to that all.
Yeah.
So,
It's why I'm seeing the walls close in with the censorship, and it's sort of motivating me to produce more content. That there's an urgency.
there is, Jerry. There is an urgency. Yes, to get this more, content creators like yourself. Again, it's so inspiring to see Raph and oh wow, Dustin's got his website. Man, I looked at that and I was just so impressed with Will and Jeff and these other wonderful content creators. Just looking at you on the Odyssey today, I'm going, wow, look at all those programs she's already done. And oh yes, I was really, really excited to see that, Darcy. Yeah, excited and glad to see that you were doing all of that. So again,
well, you're going to use this interview for your website when it's ready.
You think? Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Editing in and out, it will be. I'll make sure I'm shaved and cleaned up here. I didn't think about it until the last minute here. I certainly could present myself a lot better, and I realize how important that is to be able to do that. Jerry, would you excuse me? Let me get a bottle of water. It'll take me about.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll pause the recording. No problem.
Okay, be right back. Just get to the fridge.
No problem. Shoot, how do I stop recording? Crap.
I just feel like I'm so out of place here.
You're doing great. So we're back from a brief water break, and we're going to jump into the topic of Hermetic philosophy. You were wanting to talk about a book you read or listened to.
Oh my goodness, sorry.
Oh, sorry, no worries.
No. Indeed, yes, I've done some of the YouTube tutorials on Hermetic principles, and I so am interested in the ancient teachings of Hermeticism. This understanding of these ancient writers and the way they actually lived in their time, living under natural law. Again, some of these wonderful philosophers like Pythagoras, oh my goodness gracious, of course Hermes Trismegistus, understanding a bit about Thoth the Atlantean and how when he was active as a conscious being on the planet, how he done what he done, and it's preserved. It's just a complete mystery, if you will, on these ancient writers. And through the years, how, the great researchers like Terence McKenna, I've listened to some of his work and how he applied his understanding and how he got to where he was able to share what he learned as far as the esoteric, if you will, and how he became enlightened and his experiences were. These other great philosophers that I like listening to that talks more about uh, Hermetic and the Kabbalion is Manly P. Hall, the way he was able to explain the secret teachings of all ages and how he went into detail, extreme details of what exactly meant what. We don't do that. Our society is supposed to be as advanced as we are, but it's all a part of AI now, so they've got all that. But the average human being like you and myself, or I would say the populace, we're not doing that. Those things are not being taught today. We don't understand those, uh, I guess you could say covered up. No, I wouldn't say covered up. This was very natural in the historic record of how people lived in these times and how their cultures have evolved and have been destroyed. I mean, that's interesting to me too. How is it that through this thousands of years that man has been on this planet here, our oceans are full of dirt and oil. And again, I'm not pointing the finger at anyone because there's three fingers pointing right back at me. Where did all of this knowledge come from? Or where has all of the benefit from this understanding of how to live and work in concert with nature has led us to the point where now our children are being sold here on the street? We're killing babies before they're born. I mean, just really. I mean,
Yeah.
how is it? And
It's
it's
so immoral. Yeah.
it's like, well, wait a minute. What about all the teachings? What about all the knowledge that was gained over the years? The only thing we see is just death and destruction, just total death and destruction. And it seems like through the historic record, you're saying, hey, man is going to destroy himself. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're destroying
Right.
ourselves. So what does
This
an
idea of
individual,
cause and effect, right? That, yeah,
it is,
Hermetic philosophy, karma, yep, has that.
there's so much about these seven hermetic principles that govern our behavior. And if we, again, what's left of it? What do you mean what's left of it? Well, there are very few people out here who are trying to understand, hermetic principles, natural law, uh, uh, and understand what these ancient ones have tried to pass down secretly. I mean, if you really want to know the truth, God, you're going to have to come knocking on my door. You're going to have to be knocking on my door long and hard for a long time before I'll open the door. Now, if you knock on that door and keep standing there knocking on the door, I'm going to get to the point where, you know what? I'm going to answer the door. This guy really wants to get in. And that's the kind of punch that's got to take. And we have to realize, well, those who choose to ignore, you see, Jerry, you and I know that there are many out there who say, you know what? I know about that, but I don't want to put anything in the game because I will have to add responsibility. I'm not responsible to myself. So no, I'm not going to do that kind of thing. But for those who are saying, you know what, this is where real truth, real love is, real where one can find individual peace, you got to make that step. Again, you got to be the one that's going to knock on that door, and finally the door will open up, and you're let in. I mean, Jerry, it just seems so synchronistic, if that's a word I can use, because I'm finding myself scratching myself all the time now. That's just so strange, and it's if I could explain it, Jerry, I'm getting a little bit here. Maybe I should talk about that, but it seems like understanding these principles and concentrating on them, trying to learn as much as you can about it. Uh, there's an application that's made, and there's a benefit afterwards. You know, and I feel that I've learned this through what I've heard mostly and done some reading about the Hermetic principles. Uh, Mostly, yes, getting information from the other available sources. We could say it that way. Like, of course, listening to Mark Passio. Making the investment into some of these audio books. I've got a lot of audio books. I mean, if I could, again, speak a little bit more technical and have the technical skills to share these ideas, that would be a benefit. And again, that's another reason why I thought that I would make a step into the one great work, that I could learn these life skills and know how to apply them, so I could share natural law and objective morality with people. Um, so, yes, again, Valiant, I think that's a very interesting book. I've put a couple of book stuff on there that are available in audio form. And what's good about that, too, is you can well, the particular account that I have, I've got the Audible account. Do you have Audible?
Uh, I don't, but yeah, like
Uh,
sometimes it helps to have the
it
audio.
might be difficult. Sure, I get that. I for the last couple of years, I've invested in Audible, and before retirement, the work that I did allowed me the time to listen to a lot of books, audio books, and that was quite informative in a way, and putting it all together, it seems like, wow, it's just a little bit easier to understand. But sharing it with somebody, in a technical form, I'd love to be able to speak as well as Mark. He's got every point on point. He knows exactly how to deliver his speech. He knows exactly how to make a point, to raise a question. He lets you know immediately, there's going to be some things here that you're not going to agree with. If I could get an ear to where I could share like that, that's the whole purpose for me. Again, taking advantage of the online courses, learning a little bit more about how to use the media to reach out and create content at the same time. Well, I've got some great ideas. I kind of wish I could really tell you about them, but I have to draw them down on paper, if you will, and put it together. It's something that I haven't been accustomed to doing a lot. So understanding how to apply the knowledge of, natural law in a life that's been so accustomed to the other way, if you will, the regular societal way of thinking, I should say that.
Yeah, well, again, like I think it's so awesome that you're willing to, yeah, challenge these old ways of doing things. And it like there's a reason why you're the only one in your generation, I think, that's in our class, because very, very few people are courageous enough to do that. So I think it's amazing that you are doing that, that you are putting forth effort to learn the technology, putting forth effort to transition your diet, putting forth effort to read Hermetic philosophy and other texts. Like, you are doing great.
Hmm. Thank you, Jerry.
And
That's very.
you're creating content
Yeah.
now.
Oh, I'm not all that great. No, I'm
Yes,
really
you
have
are.
to. I could do better. I could do
I'll
better.
send you the video afterwards, so that way you can put it up on any website you want. You have content already, ready to
Oh,
go.
no, I don't. I don't. I don't.
Yes, you do, Wyatt. So yeah, going back to the Hermetic principles of philosophy, I'm going to briefly review them for those that aren't aware. So we have the principle of mentalism, so all is mind, correspondence, as above, so below, vibration, polarity, rhythm. Cause and effect is the one that I like to focus on, obviously because of the immoral condition that we've chosen for ourselves and the slavery that is the result of that immoral choice that we've made on the aggregate. And then the final principle is gender. But yeah, it's just like a great way of like looking at the world and connecting with nature and the universe. It's really simple, but also complex at the same time. Yeah.
It is. It is. I find that if I can grab someone's attention, using that first hermetic principle is a very good way to try to share with people and say, hey, did you know that the mind is everything? Oh, what do you mean? I said, do you know that your thoughts, they vibrate? Well, what are you talking about? Well, just take, for example, I got this little buzz right here. This thing's a little buzzing in my hand right here. Yeah, it's like a vibration, right? Yeah, it's sort of vibration. Did you know that the mind vibrates? I mean, every time you have a thought, your mind vibrates, and that gives them a minute to think. Well, no, nobody's ever told me that. Well, yes, sir, your mind vibrates.
Yeah.
Every thought that you think, every breath that you breathe, your every sound, even the rock right now, sir, this rock that I'm picking up off the ground, there's a vibration to it, and that's a good way to get, just to start a conversation with someone about natural law. I start with another one I think too is I like using is the law of gender, where there's duality, or yes, where there's a masculine and feminine side of everything. I mean, consciousness, yes. And that once we realize this, and it's another one of those things that's been covered up, hidden, nobody's known for years and years and years. Now that the technology is so much more available, the information is so much more available, we can see how these new agers could be misconstrued about this particular hermetic principle about gender. I think that every consciousness has a male and a female side. The reptilian side, and then there's the more the side of each of us that has a more caring side, if you will, a side that's a little bit more concerned about some things on an emotional level, something that moves us. And that's a good way to share with people too. You ever felt like something like that? Has anything ever made you cry? What do you mean? Well, have you ever really shared a tear? I mean, tell me about it. What really hurt you? And it sort of gives an opportunity for somebody to think. And then I'll start sharing with them about how important that is, understanding that that state of being, using it properly could improve our lives. I mean, how many gurus have we got out there, Jerry? We got, so many. Tony Robbins and Tony Evans, and what is Tony Evans guy? All these other so-called spiritual teachers or teachers that would help you to become more enlightened and aware. There seems to be I would say, an opportunity to use that for your own personal benefit. I mean, at the same time, you've created an empire, or you've done so much and you've benefited well by, for a financial gain, if you will. Us, we don't have that. Here down on the ground, we have to use what minimal and available that we have to use the media, if you will, and to get the word out. If there's a opportunity for you to benefit in a financial way from it, good. A lot of the content creators I see, I think I'm understanding that right, are benefiting in some kind of financial way, through their efforts. And I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I really don't. Of course, those that have taken advantage of that, and it seems to me like most of that came out of the church. Now we know what the church is all about, in this enlightened state of being. I look back a little bit back at Pisces and go like, so that's why they were doing that back then, huh? okay, I can see Jim Baker and Tammy Faye Baker. I don't know if you remember that sex scandal that came out amongst these mega pastors back in. Jimmy Swagger, he got caught having relationships. Jim Baker and all these other so-called mega pastors. And I mean, these are the Joel Osteens, if you will. They're coming out thinking you've had this great big empire thing, and secretly you've been going around cheating around in your life. Where's the very moral that you're trying to show or trying to teach? I see that kind of thing happening. I look back on that and go, okay, now I know why that is today. Now I understand why it's so relevant that we're the creators of our own reality. You know, those men or those circumstances didn't have to be. It was something that was created. Just like, again, now understanding a little bit more about creation. And again, creation being that vibrational thing that vibrates. If I can create in my mind, mentalism being the very first hermetic principle, I am the creator working in concert with the natural way nature wanted me to create. So that's an understanding that through the hermetic principles, applying it in a life that's been so, man, I've been dragging my ass for 10 years. And you want me to get up and put some skin in the game? Oh, man, it's just as easy to sit over here and watch the football game with the guys. Well,
Right.
I get to thinking, you know what? I'm breaking the law. If we're not working as a sentient, conscious, rational being, and of course, the way Mark explains it so well, and we can see how his life is. I mean, based on this, when I first heard Mark, I knew that he was angry. He had a justification being angry, the way he explained it, and it resonated with me. I see the stupidity in me, Jerry. It began inside of me. You see, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody else. But this man, the way he explained natural law and why we are where we are today, it only points to self. It's the self. And that understanding the hermetic principles, again, the law of rhythm, the law of magnetism, and once you come in balance with that, my life seems to be just a little bit better in that regard. Through all the monsters that's going on, I'm going through serious. I don't want to say this on the air, but you'll keep this private. Jerry, I'm going through a terrible emotional thing right now, losing my wife. And it's basically because of me stepping in the game. I strongly believe this. And it's to the point now where, I can't. I'm not going to turn back on this. This has got to go forward.
Yeah.
About that. But here, because of the awful thing, I got to go forward with this, and I am. I've made the decision to go ahead and put as much effort and understanding into the class. Trying to break some, doing some practicing here with the files we were talking about here Monday. And to try to make it happen, Jerry, just use again, the resources available. Again, staying in contact with those that are like-minded. Again, I find it quite available, the Telegram outside class group that posts here, and I like to hear what they have to say, or some of the other information that's not readily available on the regular networks. Again, knowing what the big media monsters are through all of that media. I feel today that, there's really nothing I really want from television anymore. As a matter of fact, I've got two of them. You can come pick up one or two now because I'm not really looking at them. That's a major change.
Yeah.
Discovered in my step into the great work. I just don't have a desire for those things anymore. Why?
Yeah.
multiple reasons, Jerry. I mean, number one, nobody is doing the great work. You know, the few that are trying here, you've got to give an effort for these people who are stepping in. Even those that have done the class the last couple of years, I go right on, man. I mean, if that's really what it's taken to get you to become the true media, go for it, man. I support you 100%, man. I'll give you a couple of bucks if I had it on the street, you know. So go for it, man. If there's something that you find out, please pass it down to me. That's the kind of relationship I think that we should all have here. Of course,
Voluntarism. Yeah.
you know, yeah, everybody's got a different background. Again, I'm from the city. I grew up in the ghetto. I ran from gangs to go to high school.
Wow.
Lived on the streets of Philadelphia, running up and down the street, chasing girls, trying to get a buck. The white man was always the devil. You know, I mean, it was just that social engineering of things that was going on in that time. Black power was the thing at that in my era. I grew up in that era and that kind of experience, and it was basically coming out of Philadelphia and going away from Philadelphia. If I had stayed in Philadelphia, I'd have been dead just like a lot of the other brothers that are from Philadelphia. And looking back again, Jerry, I've got you by a couple of decades here. I'm 67. You are, let's say,
41. Yeah.
I was going to say 40 was my age. I was going to say 40. So you're 20 years my junior here. 27. Yeah. So living it with that experience with the military, realizing that I was an order taker. I mean, wow, when I understood that, oh, you know, that was me, man. I was absolutely having the gun in my head, you know, and yes, I would have obeyed the order. If the boss had said shoot, I had to shoot, Jerry, you know, and coming out of that, thinking of these men today and seeing the way the order followers are today. They're it's coming right towards us. Uh, if you can understand what I'm saying here, when we look at the way we've let America become, man, you know, the cops are crooks. I mean, it's just awful. You know, they're murderers. You know, and then you have a feel for that now that you understand a little bit more about what was the cause of this and what can be done about it. Well, on a level of those that are truly sincere about making a change and being that change, of course, beginning with self and then expanding into groups of voices. There's just going to have to be a point where collectively we're just going to have to say, no, we're not taking it anymore. We're not going to allow the evil hand of government oppress and rob us and steal from us our natural right. And that's what's happening. The chains seem like they're getting tighter and tighter. It doesn't matter what political party is going to be involved or what's in charge. This is a global monster, and it's going to take at least a half a global resistance, and it ain't there. A half a global resistance just there.
It's not there yet. We're working on that. We're trying to change that condition. Yep.
That's good hope. That's real good hope. I can't say I got a lot. I can't. I
It's
I'd
definitely
love
hard, right? Not to stay in that valley of despair, you know, that
you know,
just
you
talked
start with
about. But
yourself. You know, for me, I would love to see a society, and I know there's a society that is balanced with love and harmony and unity. There is such a place and time somewhere here, you know, where a conscious individual who is beginning to understand the natural way of life, universal life, global or galactic life, if you will. I thought, for example, talking with the other night. I just couldn't. I'm trying to my best to understand how is this life connected to me. I mean, if you're Jerry, I could go on to that, but if I mean, are there? I mean, we do have. You know what? I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I don't know what I think I know. Just being open, sitting here with you, I'd like to know the fight, if at all possible, just for a nanosecond in time, you can pull the curtain back and let me get a glimpse of what's really, 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 really going on out here, and then close that little curtain here. Maybe I'll feel a little bit better. Be it positive, hey, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Be it negative, that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Just tell me the truth. What's happening here? How do I make a difference, with my ability? How do I try to make my fellow man, of which I'm here to serve? I'm here to share everything with everyone. But my fellow man stinks to high goddamn heaven, and I don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. He's disgusting. And who is that? That's me. I look in the mirror and go, well, where do I change at? Where do I start to change at? Well, change in yourself, man. Start making those steps. Start doing those things that's necessary. Showing a little bit more love and compassion. And where do you start? Well, start with the environment. I'm thinking that if I can contribute some way, if I can give back in a way or do some things here in my local environment to give back, that's a good way to start. Don't you think, Jerry?
Well, yeah, sure. But I also think, we're taking this class, right, to sort of scale it, that message out. Because, while I think it is important to get involved locally in person, just being mindful of, sharing with a wider audience as much as possible. Especially, again, considering the censorship window closing in, we're going to have to rethink our strategy in terms of how to get the message out. But yeah, I wanted to touch base. You covered a lot of material, which is great. You mentioned the live that we had with my ET friend, and the way I talk about the one great work and how it relates to the ET subject is we're not going to get to collaborate with our ET friends in a in-depth level because they think we're spiritual children and we're immoral, and any technology that they share with us, they know we'll weaponize. Because we need to the mission is the same. We still need to work on our morality. We still need to, teach humanity how to change the thinking. And, going back to the black pill question, right? We don't want to stay there. We don't want to, because then what's the results of that, right? Like then nothing changes. And, again, I try to think about who I used to be and who I am now. I am my own point of inspiration. You are your own point of inspiration.
Absolutely, Jerry.
And so just keep reminding yourself, like, I got here and that's me back then. And just anytime, that's what I say to myself, anytime that I'm like, they're so calcified. I was calcified. I can keep, if I just keep pushing that. Mark Passio and other people, they've been talking about this for decades. Like, if they can repeat themselves ad nauseum till they're blue in the face, so can we, know?
Yes, I do know. I see. I like that enthusiasm about that. Again, there's a tremendous resistance. And again, most of that resistance is pretty much our thinking, knowing that the major or I should say it the way Mark said it, the dead, the way they're out there, the way they're walking and talking, the calcification that you have been fortunate enough to had removed from your eye, and you want to continue to do what you can. Just the way you explained it, Jerry, is to try to help fight the demon without, fight the demon within. Be the good person without, be the good person within. Knowing
Yeah.
the up from the down, knowing the in from the out. You know, it's another hermetic law. Who knows the difference between salt and sweet? You have to find that balance within the self first. And then once that balance of truth is in harmony with nature, who has laid down these immutable fundamental laws that no one can break. And if the opposition of that is, there are consequences that go along with that. Immortal spiritual being inhabiting a biological body down on earth, aka Wyatt C. White. You know, so again, I am not the body. My consciousness is what created the cup, the water bottle here. Somebody had to think of a water bottle. Somebody had to think of a wire to put the computer together, or how to make a piece of paper. It all began with a thought. When you ask, well, where is God? Let me turn a mirror around for you. You know, how did all this happen? I mean, you know, you're the creator. I'm one to believe, based on the Hermetica, that the way Manley explains it in so many ways, that I am the universe. I am the creator. I'm going through this experience of having a life on the earth. And this is part of the lesson here, to take me to where? Oh, we'll get there when we get there. And if you had the power to create and bring everything into where it is, that where you're at right now, this is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. One thing I try to think about is, because it can get, you can kind of fall into a slippery slope of like solipsistic, moral relativistic thinking if you're God, right? So I try to think of myself as a fractal expression of God. Like you're,
Creator.
yeah. So like, because if we think that we're each God, that's,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Then why not create our own
I didn't use
moral?
it. Yeah, I'm thinking more in, again, according to the understanding that I'm getting from the Kabbalion, is that we truly are the creators of our own reality. And again, being a universal part of the collective, I'm not God, no. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm laying the rules down here. No. I just want to work with the truth. And the
Right.
truth is that we're not living properly, body, mind, and spirit. And the collectives is saying, okay, you don't want to live properly, body, mind, spirit. There's the results of what you get. And this is what we get. So again, it takes you and I with that gumption to say, I got to fight the devil within me, because you see, it's part of my responsibility that the world is the way it is. I'm involved. I had a lot to do with it. That
Right.
karma is being paid, be it in a previous lifetime here on the earth. Who knows how many times I've gone around, Jerry? You might have been one of the species of the so many planetary systems that have dumped their prisoners on the earth. Who knows how many times you've been around? According to the Hindu beliefs and the Hindu understanding of reincarnation, is now we know that the other religions have their understanding of the karmic effect. What happens? How many times if we recycle and go, you mean I got to go through this again? And now that's beginning to be more of a, well, you know what? Maybe I better start. I kind of felt that for a while. I was thinking about that, Jerry. And I thought, okay, well, we go around. I try to be humorous, try to be down to earth. You can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to the universe. He knows you. You know him. You think, well, okay, boy, what kind of life did I live before? Who was I? When was I? Where was I? In some of the Hermetic teachings that, or I should say, from the Kabbalion and from Hermetica, from these great researchers like Carl Jung and Natalie P. Hall and these other tremendous researchers have told us that, you're living a life going over and over again. Perhaps your other life was not as, you didn't learn any lessons. Uh, just recently understood from a particular researcher, his understanding is that when one is recycled, that one, and this is really, really weird. I'm thinking, okay, you're going to be born in another baby's body. That consciousness is going, that memory is going to be completely rewiped. You got to go and do this thing over again. Where do you go? Oh, Jerry, this is a deep topic, honey. It really is. We can sit here. I can sit here and talk and raise these questions about, I'm sure, the very same things you have asked yourself. How did this all happen? Where are we as a society on a conscious and rational level? What are other people thinking? Surely they've got to have some kind of understanding about why things are the way they are. And if mentalism is the first thing to do, and the fact that, you mean to tell me we could have actually been a much more telepathic species, but because of the deception, because of the covering up, because of the hiding and the religiosity, and that power is reserved only for me and a few others, and you're not going to have that to think, wow, man, you mean to tell me I could have done this, but because of you forcing your immoral behavior on me and stealing my freedom, I don't have that luxury anymore, as a species. I mean, tell me, the human body is capable to do that? Well, then, when was somebody going to tell me about it? In what lifetime, if you will? I don't know, Jerry. I'm just throwing stuff out there to the verse. I have these thoughts. I sit up and look in the sky at night and ask these questions. I certainly hope others do. Hey, what did you really mean when this was? How am I understanding this way? And then again, some of the great philosophers, they give you that, well, you want to zero your mind out. You don't want to think about these things. You want to live in peace, and you do. I do. I mean, but just as I guess it's that, Jerry, it's that zeal that you want to know more. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting to find out now within myself that the more I'm learning and the more I'm understanding, the more I kind of like it, and I'm kind of like, hey, this is something new I learned today. One of the things the Stoics say is, try to think of what you learned new today. What did you learn new today? Did you help someone out today? Were you kind in any possible way at all today? Did you accomplish any goals that you've had today? Who needs a good thought before you close your eyes tonight? Oh, wow, I remember that emergency vehicle that went by. Boy, it went by pretty. Boy, those guys were on their way. Well, I certainly hope no one was hurt. Man, that's a good thought, man. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds are pretty easy to apply. And once that's applied with a good intention and with love behind it, I think we could all be a better people, don't you, Jared? I mean,
Yeah,
even the additional abilities like the Carl, oh man, what's this? Your friend, the
Leo.
These people who had these wonderful experiences and abilities to do like remote viewing. You said, oh man, I think that's a wonderful thing to do. And they tell me humans can do that. Really? Oh wow. I got a couple questions. How do you do that? Well, you got to go through a couple of things here to learn how to do that. Okay, well, sign me up.
Well,
or like Edgar Casey. What a great talent he did. He had, to be able to do the things that he did and document them, and have helped people in a way, if you will. I mean, I would like to have a legacy like that. To say, hey, boy, this guy came through. He came through the earth, and he was creative. He used his thinking ability, worked in concert with the truth and with a good heart and a good intention, and was able to create something and left a legacy behind. Left something behind that says, hey, he made a little stamp on the world. I mean, that's a goal I would like to maintain. I think, and have my own doubts about self, man. You kidding, man? We get a dude, right. No, wait a minute. That's not the kind of thinking I know I shouldn't be thinking. All right, let's get balance here, right home. So now I'm thinking, man, take a couple of deep breaths. No, that's not me. That's the old person. I'm not there anymore. I want to, be a light here today. I don't want to concentrate on those, the things that I cannot do. Help me to eat right so I can wake up tomorrow and do something that I can do. So again, finding all of that balance. Well, tomorrow it's do a routine. Start writing. Make sure you're going to write down 30 minutes when you write. You're going to meditate. You're going to zero your mind out. You're going to, these are the things that I'm learning as I'm going along, Jerry. I can't say I'm perfect at it. I can't say that I here just recently, boy, have I been. But prior, no, I was not as active. And when I knew the class came up, boy, that was an excitement, when the first class, that was a great excitement because I've been holding on to that since, Mark, since last year at two mass, same things. We knew that, okay, Mark's going to start class in June. Boy, you got to make sure, you're going to do this. Don't invest that money, and held off as long as I could. We discussed it. The plan was, I'm going to spend the time here and learn and share and move forward with my health. That didn't happen. And I'm committed here to, I want to throw the money away. That would definitely be counterproductive, and say, I'm giving up. I mean, what a failure that would be. So again, meeting people like you, Geraldine, really, honestly and truly, the help that you shared with me, you and Gil, it really helped me a lot. I was at a pretty good low there. And please know that. I've said that a couple times here in the chat and typed it out. But boy, I'm so grateful to have a friend like you. I don't know much about you, and I know you may have shared a few things about where your life is right now. But as a general person here in the class, I want you to know that I'm always trying to have a good thought for you, man. Thinking about the things that you have to go through. Now that I know that you're doing so much more, you're going to need more good thought. What do you mean? Well, wow, Jerry's putting all this wonderful content together. That takes time. That takes effort. Plus, she's got home. She's got family to take care of. Boy, what a tremendous workload. So, and that's the way we all should be thinking about our contemporaries. Those that are, well, my age group would be a little bit my contemporary, right? But believe me, I would love to have another senior citizen my age, male or female, just that a person that consciousness. Again, I don't care about the body. Now that I know what I know, I respect. I have got so much respect for gender. I really do. And I just want to be able to create, put thought together, man, the feminine side of thought, the masculine side. On that, my feminine side of thought to your masculine side of thought. And make a creation. So you, man, I consider you a real good friend. And the fact that I was able to share a very personal situation in my life where you, as the experienced person that you are, and I felt very comfortable about that. You know what? I can share this with her. She's seriously concerned. She's pretty much doing what I'm doing, but great work. And believe me, it takes some integrity, fortitude, virtue, characteristic to do this kind of work. I can't, and then again, after listening to the Saxo's wife today, I'm not sure where that lady's coming from. If that was her, I don't know if that was AI or was that put together. I'm so afraid even on our channel. Is this real? is this real? I know, man. I'm seeing the people's face, but the mouths are moving kind of weirdly. Have you seen that commercial now where they can sort of make your mouth move AI? And it ain't quite AI, and it just looks so fake. Like, okay, that's a manipulation. They don't want you to see the truth there. It's crazy, Jerry. Again, this artificial thing coming on, you gotta ask what to believe. A lot of things I've tried to pass on. Hey, this is what I know. Well, it's fake. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was taken.
Um, wow, so much was just shared, and I just want to hold space for you in the life moment we're in right now, and just like breathing through that. And I want to thank you for our time today. Do you have any kind of last parting thoughts before we end our recording?
Well, encouragement would be, first of all, gratitude. Thank you again for listening to my testimony here on how I come to understand a little bit more about natural law and depth and morality, Valiant, seven hermetic principles in my discussion of my understanding of that to share with others. Thank you for having me. Parting thoughts, just words of encouragement. Just, it's not, it's hard. It's. I should say it this way. I think it's kind of easy to stand here and tell you these things and try to get you to examine for yourself. I mean, you can talk low in the face, but it's only going to take yourself to take information, question information. Please don't believe what I'm saying here. This I had to find out. I have to go and look for it. If I can encourage someone else to go look for it, it'll mean so much more to them personally. So that encouragement with again, asking a lot of questions to self, asking a lot of outside questions that you don't know what you don't know, gaining as much information as you can. Information and knowledge will bring you with the ability to have more wisdom to make good choices. So again, encouragement to stay, fight the fight, man. We need, as a collective, we need more who understand how to work with nature and bring about a better you, or I should say a better me and a better you. That's my encouragement to my fellow sentient human beings out there on the planet. And there are quite a bit of us running around out here. I'd like to see my doppelganger, if there's such a thing, I just throw some crazy words out there, Jerry. I used to listen to Art Bell. Did you ever listen to Art Bell's program? You might not.
Yeah, I'm at a point where I'd rather just talk to the ETs directly myself. Yeah, but I used to.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I listened to a couple of his programs, and a lot of that sort of led me to look a little bit further into it. Yes. Yes. Again, listening to other researchers, again, sort of helped push me along to go look at another researcher or look at some other information. The Wikipedia is a good source to get a couple of answers. That's relatively simple. It doesn't require a PhD or anything like that. Now, again, for someone who's not accustomed to that, it's going to take a little work on your behalf to make yourself. And again, you being the creator, you're the guy's got to do it. Nobody's going to do it for you. It's your idea. You have to put it in force. So, again, my goal for myself is to do more and be more, being at the same time being. I mean, what I mean by that is you do you. You carry your responsibilities that are in line with truth and nature and justice, freedom, and it'll balance its way out wherever you're at in your state of being. Again, so that's my encouragement to my fellow man. I just want to be able to let folk know that through the Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's just from a different point of view. It's just look at things from a different point. 42, 42, 42. So, Jerry, thank you for having me here. I hope I shared some things here and answered a couple of questions here about my understanding and my, I should say, the level of understanding on how to make application of these wonderful knowledges that I do have a little bit better comprehension of. I just wish I could deliver that comprehension in a more understanding type of way. You know what I'm saying? You, of course,
Totally.
be a little bit more practiced in that. And the encouragement that you give me, it's going to make it just a little bit easier tomorrow morning to say, hey, I was able to talk with a professional.
I'm no professional, right? Like
All that today,
you're
I'm going
doing
like,
it. You're doing
yeah,
it. You're starting, you're doing it, and it's just going to get better from here.
I hope so. Listen, have a good night. We'll see you
Thank
here
you.
on the Telegram, okay?
Yep. Bye.
Good night. All right.